Galera, tudo bem? Daniel HP, tô aqui com o Rato de Show e hoje eu tenho a honra aqui de trazer uma entrevista animal pra vocês com o Bryan Harris, vocalista do Death Before Dishonor. So, Bryan, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm all good, man. It's an honor to have you here, and you guys will be playing here in São Paulo next week, right? On the 10th.
Correct. Yeah, it's our first time down there since I think 2010. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so for our viewers that don't really know what and who Death Before Dishonor are, could
Sure.
you give us like a quick introduction to the band?
Absolutely. We're a Boston hardcore band. We started in about 2001. Been around a bit. Like I said, we've been to Brazil once in 2010 with the Cro-Mags. Uh, and that's us. We're just a hardcore band. We play, fast, aggressive, fun music.
Yeah, and segueing off of that, you guys have already been here in 2010. You guys have been to
Correct.
Colombia a few times. You guys have been
Yeah.
a lot to Europe. I think you've also done like Asia, Australia. So,
Yeah. We've been fortunate to be around the world. Yeah, we've done the U.S., Canada. We did a bunch in Central America. Did a couple of Central America tours. Mexico a few times. As far as Bogota, as far as South America, we only did that one time in 2010 with the Cro-Mags, and that was Chile, Argentina, and Brazil. But yeah, we've been to Australia a few times. We've been to Japan, Europe quite a bit. Like I said, we've been a band since 2001. Since 2005, we've been like a very active band. Like 2005 to 2012, we used to tour a lot, like 200, 250 days a year. And then in between like 2014 and 2018, we kind of chilled out a little bit. We were still band, still active, just not as active. And then kind of picked back up and started being more active as of 2018.
hmm
Besides the pandemic, of course.
yeah. And like, what do you remember from the Latin American crowd, from the Brazilian crowd?
It was really good. I mean, obviously, we were fortunate enough to go with the Cro-Mags at the time, and I think that was one of the first times Cro-Mags had been there, and they're like a very legendary band. So, but uh, everybody, the show was phenomenal. A lot of people, everybody was very appreciative, very cool. Like I hung out in the crowd for a bit, talked to people. It was awesome. It was really cool. The city was cool. Food was good. All that stuff.
hmm And in general, what are your expectations for the gig next week?
Uh, it's hard to say. I never know. I know there's a lot of tours and bands coming through South America right now, like in the next month. Like there's so much going on. So I don't know. Lineup's cool. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. No matter what, we always come out to have a good time. So I hope everybody shows up and has a good time as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lineup. You guys are playing with Ladrones from Mexico
Yeah,
and
yeah.
two local bands, Worst and Odin. Did you have a chance to listen to them?
You know what? Worst goes to Europe quite a bit, so I know of Worst. And their old drummer I knew well. He actually tried out for Death Before Dishonor years ago, long time ago. I don't think he's any in the band any longer, if I'm correct. Anyways, and I know the Mexican band is like a rap metal type band or something like that. So I checked out some of it. So, and like I said, I know of Worst, and I know Worst goes like to Europe a bunch, and we played shows and stuff with them over there. So that's really cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's a cool show. I think it's a good lineup. I'm excited.
hmm And apart from Worst, are there any other Brazilian bands, Brazilian artists you like?
I mean, of course, everybody knows Sepultura, right? Like that's the famous one. Yeah, I always resort back to Sepultura, but Sepultura also a very influential band. You know what I mean? So that goes a long way. And they have roots in hardcore as well as, of course, they're more of a metal band, but and they did a lot of stuff with a lot of hardcore bands. So I really love Sepultura. Always have, always will.
hmm And in terms of the set list, you guys have released a few albums since the last time you guys came around. So what can
Yep.
we expect? Something more anchored on the classics or some more of the new album promotion?
So it's going to be a little bit of everything. So we try to play like, especially when we don't go there often. We'll play as long as we can. But we'll have a little bit. You got to play like some of the classics, of course. But We're for sure playing some stuff off the new record. You know, that record came out, I don't know, earlier this year. You know, it's a great record. So we're excited on that. So yeah, a little bit of everything, I'll say.
Yeah. And I saw you also commenting on some other interviews that you guys wanted to play some more obscure stuff, maybe that you were revisiting old records and you wanted to play some different songs.
Yeah, it's turning on like 20 years of a certain record. So a friend to me forever. So you know, we're playing some stuff off of there. We try to play a good mix, you know, to give something to everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now, moving on to some questions not necessarily as focused on the gig. Both the US and Brazil, we are going through some very unstable times, like politically,
Sure.
economically, very polarized populations. And hardcore at its core, it's always been like a very politically oriented genre. So, what would you say is like
Sure.
the importance of hardcore in these times as a medium for spreading these messages?
Well, I think, like you said, whether hardcore is like truly political or the fact that like we are
Hmm.
anti-government in a political way. I think times are pretty crazy right now, and I think more than ever, like people should lean on each other and like we should look out for each other at like the grassroots movement. Like, you know, I don't think the government's going to help us, is what I'm saying. So it's like help each other. Find, you know, when I got into this type of music, it wasn't based off like a political thing, but my home life and my regular life was a little crazy at the time. So for me, it was like being able to find something in this music was amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel the same way when we like look at what's going on in the government right now. Like I said, I think in both cultures the government's really not doing a lot for us, and we got to look out for each other.
Hmm. It's not necessarily like political, like in the partisan sense, but it's like a
Right,
critique, right?
right, exactly, 100%.
Hmm. And in recent times, we've also been seeing like this big boom of hardcore bands and like social media, the internet, TikTok, Instagram, and stuff like that. This whole like new generation, younger bands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do you think about all that? Of this, like the hardcore culture being adapted to social media?
Uh, I think that it's tough because as an older band, you want to be like, oh, I don't care for that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the culture we live in, right? It's like it's super important in the sense of like that's how people connect to everything now. So it's like, not important like it's the only thing that matters, but important in the sense that like you can communicate with everybody. You can get a broader reach. And if that's how the younger people are connecting to people, then so be it. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of a not cool. Like it's cool because that's their world. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
you got to kind of embrace it for what it is. There's negative with it, of course, like anything with social media, but you got to take the positive for what it is.
Hmm. Times are changing, right? Things need
100%,
to
right?
adapt and evolve.
Absolutely.
And like the type of hardcore bands going more into the mainstream, it's also changing, right? Because you see bands like Turnstile and Knocked Loose that are bending like the
The
boundaries of
genres,
hardcore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're basically like a mainstream band in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it's like it's interesting. It's very interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, but also their heart and soul is in the right place. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's cool.
They could be like a gateway into the more like heavier, more traditional styles.
Absolutely. Yeah, because if you figure out their history and stuff like that, it's going to come back to the hardcore scene.
And that's also kind of what like Ladrones is doing, right? They're mixing that like more regional
Yeah,
rap
yeah,
style
yeah, yeah.
with metal,
Little
right?
crossover type thing. It might appeal to some more mainstream people, but it's gonna have roots in.
The hardcore, like at its core, it's always had like this crossover with other genres, right? Especially rap. There have always been like bands that have jumped the fence in a way, right?
Correct, 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 correct. Yeah, I mean, like we even just talked about Sepultura. Like they're a band that went mainstream, and they came from like an underground metal movement, and that's a very influential band. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm. And with like the changing landscape, the way music is presented now, algorithms, streaming services, and whatnot, what do you think is the importance of having this like genre crossover within hardcore?
Well, I mean, you're reaching out, and if kids, if even a handful of kids get into it and get into these older bands, or even the current bands, and and truly appreciate the message and the underground DIY movement, even if it's getting slightly mainstream, it's an accomplishment, right? It's more people involved in something that's was a very important part of my life, and I'm sure your life and everybody's life. So it's kind of cool in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. And even if people are coming into this more accessible side, some people will end up trickling down to like more grassroots
Oh, of
DIYs.
course. Yeah, you try to figure out like, just like when I got into it, you try to find out something more heavier and heavier and heavier, or whatever the case is. And then it brings you to the underground kind of, or like, you'd be watching the band and be like, why are they wearing that t-shirt? And you find out like, oh, it's
Mhm.
this band and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said in the start of the interview, you guys started out in around 2001, so you
Yeah.
guys saw this like whole shift in the
Oh
scene.
yeah. Oh
How would
yeah. Yeah. We've seen all
you
these shifts. Yeah.
Mhm. How would you like describe the evolution of the scene in these last 20 years?
I mean, it's totally different now. But it's a good it's good because it's a broader reach. There's more people, it's more accessible. I mean, sometimes you don't want to forget where it came from, and I think the message is still always important. But if you can involve more people and it can get bigger and more people can find out about something special that we grew up with and been a part of, I think it's an awesome thing.
Yeah. Hardcore is really one of those genres that like connects deeply to people, right? It really, really
It really
resonates
does.
with
It has a
people.
real connection and a real feeling and all that stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. And not only has the scene changed in these 20 years, but you guys, Death Before Dishonor, as musicians, as people, you guys have
Of
surely
course.
like evolved in these last 20 years. How would you say you guys have changed, not only as a band, but also as people? Uh,
I mean, we mature. You get older. You look
mhm,
at the world a little different. Yeah, I'm sure we're angry, but maybe angry about different things. Like this goes back to like government stuff. Maybe tax stuff. When we were younger, we didn't care about that stuff, right? But also as musicians, you evolve. You're a lot more appreciative too, right? Like when you're younger, you're kind of living in the moment and being wild, and now it's like you just want to be appreciative and be thankful we're still here and still doing it and still a part of this community.
mhm. You get kind of a more like retrospective look, right? Like you're able to
Absolutely.
look in
Yeah.
hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stuff about like time, about maintaining your principles and personal evolution, it's also one of the themes you guys touch on in Nowhere Bound, right? The new album.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's important, right? We're all like, even if we evolve and we get older, we mature a little, we look at things a little different. We're still the same people. We still have the same ethics. We're still hardcore kids, even though we're not kids anymore. But
Mhm.
we still go to shows. We still believe in all those ethics that it used to be, and we still care about like the DIY ethic and all that stuff. Even if sometimes you're on bigger tours or you go to different places, we'll still play a basement. We're still ourselves. We still hang out with kids. We still go to shows, and all that stuff I think is really important.
You gotta like maintain the essence and like teach quote unquote the new
Yeah,
generation.
yeah, kind of, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Without teaching,
Yeah,
like, but kind of guide people, I guess is the
yeah,
word.
like
Exactly.
laying the groundwork maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure, for sure.
And in terms of like lyrical themes, what do you guys mostly touch on this album? Because I definitely felt it is a bit of different territory, although it's still Death Before Dishonor at its core.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is just like what's current, right? Like, it's definitely angry, but angry in a different way, right? Like, everyday life is kind of it's difficult, right, for everybody. Whether it's a kid that has issues at school or a grown adult that has issues paying bills or getting through the week, or just like like you said, you look at the world and the world's chaotic and it stresses you out. So I try to vent that in lyrics and we try to give out like lyrics where people can kind of interpret it how they want to, but
Mhm.
it's like a rebel type music where you can hopefully put it in your own perspective, but help you get through those hard times to get to a better time. Make
Yeah.
make it feel like someone else like is going through it with you.
Hmm. It's like being like a helping voice, right? Like being there for people.
Right, right. But at the same time, I'm getting something off my chest too, right?
Hmm.
Like, so we're all helping each other.
Hmm. It's like a two-way street.
Absolutely.
And I know the scenes in Brazil and the US are quite different, but I think there's still like some points of convergence. What would you
Yeah.
say it's like balancing the responsibilities of just like adult life in general with having a band and touring and being as active as you guys are?
It's hard. I mean, I personally don't have any kids, so it's a little easy. I am married. But yeah, so I mean, we go out there and do as much as we can, but like I try to stay grounded where, go out for like a week, 2 weeks, maybe sometimes a little longer, but try to be home a little bit. Literally just try to balance, right? Like you got to
Hmm.
pay the bills. Hardcore is great. It's fun. It's not always the most profitable thing. So it's like, you got to try to just make things work. So just keeping a balance of both of that. But, you still have that drive to go out and play shows. So it's like, it's really a balance. And I think the older we get too, it's just like, we still love going to do shows and touring and stuff, and we'll always do that as long as we can. But we'll take some breaks in the meantime. We're not going to do 250 shows a year. We might do 100 shows a year. So
Hmm. Which is still an insane amount of shows.
yeah, it'll be like 70 to 100. You know what I mean? You never know. But and maybe it'll be 50 some years. But as long as we're out there and having fun, and that's the other thing. Like truly having fun is the most important thing.
Yeah. It can't feel like work, right? Because then it loses the
No,
essence.
no. And there's some days it's going to feel like that if you're traveling and the traveling sucks or something. But you want to just, I mean, that's why we got into this fun, right?
Hmm.
Uh Let out some aggression and some steam, and it's like that's what we want to do.
Yeah, yeah. And now moving back to the new album, like looking back on all your trajectory and all the years you guys have had on the road,
Yep.
how would you say that Nowhere Bound captures like where Death Before Dishonor is as a band? Like where does it fit in the
I,
story?
I think it's a good overall. Like I feel like it kind of goes back to some of the roots. Even the song "Nowhere Bound" was actually written in like it's an old song, and we re-recorded it and changed it a little bit. And it was going to just be a B-side, and it came out so good. And the title was cool.
Hmm.
So that's an old song, kind of redone, right? And I think it just captures all aspects of Death Before Dishonor, but it's a little more. I feel like it's modern, but also aggressive. Where you know, I think that's important with Death Before Dishonor. So, like, I think it does kind of capture a little bit of everything without, you know, keeping the essence of Death Before Dishonor, but also like a modern spin on it, in my opinion.
Hmm. So it's like an evolution, basically.
I think so. I'm sure everybody says that, but I truly feel like that with this record, especially. Like, it really, like, it's very well rounded. There's not a song I skip on it, and I'm really happy with it.
Hmm. And I was gonna ask specifically about that song. Was there anything like that made you want to revisit that song and make you want to
Uh,
like rework it into
So
what
when
it
we
is
were
now?
going into the studio, they were like, you should come up with like a couple B sides, whether it's a cover or an old song. And I was listening to the old record, and I was like, that was on the record "True to Death," which that's from 2002. There's a
Hmm.
lot of stuff on there I don't really love. We were younger, but I was listening to that song. And I was like, cool. There's one part I really didn't like, and I was like, oh, what if we took that out? And we were talking about it, and then just hearing how we sound now, like better equipment because we're older and stuff. And then I cut out a part, and we changed this, and I was like, man, that sounds really cool. And we went in the studio, and I was like, damn, this sounds really good. So that was kind of it. There was no big meaning except like we needed a B side, and then it sounded really good, and I was like, that title's really cool, and it kind of fits everything going on. So it just kind of worked out, which is kind of weird naming a new record the title track of an old song. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
but I was like, I thought the name was really cool, and I don't think that song ever got its like due diligence. And when we recorded it and sounded great, I'm like, let's just roll with it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like everything in art, it does like refer back to older stuff, right? Not
It
everything is
really
always
does. It
completely new.
really does. Yeah, for sure.
And now, like having the mindset and the experience you have now, is there anything you would have done differently throughout your career? Any
No, no.
regrets?
I always think about that, and I've been asked that before. I mean, I'm sure there's small regrets, but in reality, it's like if you did this different or didn't do that different, who knows if the path would have taken us here, right? And anything that sucks, you learn from, right? And that's part of life, right? So, like, no, I mean, I love being in a band. I'm very fortunate that we're still a band and got to go around the world. And like, I'm sure there's ups and downs, just like there always is in hardcore and there is in life. But I would not change anything because I feel like that's the same with life, right? Like in life in general, right? You want to go back and be like, oh, could I change that? And it's like, well, then your trajectory is different. You may not have learned this or that. So I'll say no. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Everything ends up being a learning experience, right, in life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm. And if you had to condense all of your years into like some pieces of advice for people getting into hardcore now, newer bands, newer
Yeah,
fans, what would that
yeah.
be?
I would say go out there, have fun. Do it because you're having fun. If you're trying to make money, it ain't gonna work. But I don't think everybody tries to get in for money. Enjoy the moments you have, right? Because you never know. Like life is fast. Uh, if you get opportunities, take those opportunities, see the world, have fun with it. You know what I mean? Meet people, go out and talk to people, hang out. Even though you're been in a band and playing shows, watch other bands and participate in your own local scene. It's very important.
Hmm. And yeah, man, from my side, that's basically it. If there's anything else
Awesome.
you want to mention, anything else you'd like to tell
Uh,
our Brazilian fans, this space is yours.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this interview and taking the time. We're very excited to be back in Sao Paulo for the first time in a long time, 15 years. So we're looking forward to it. Come out to the show, have a good time. Great bands, good times. We're excited.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Galera, muito obrigado por ter assistido, por ter lido. Esse foi o Bryan, vocalista do Death Before Dishonor. E lembrando que eles tocam aqui em São Paulo, na Burning House, dia 10, semana que vem.